ready to double or triple your sales this year? Let me see who's in the room. All right, awesome. Excited to be here tonight. My name is Ursula Mentjes. I am a sales expert, a coach, a speaker, and I'm looking forward to spending the next 15 minutes with you. Because here's my question. I already asked you, of course you want to double and triple your sales. How rhetorical is that, right? How many of you are willing to do whatever it takes to double or triple your sales? Why is that question? Of course, I'm in Minnesota, right? Okay, not on the West Coast. It is a different question, though, because of course we want to double or triple our sales. We write the numbers down, which we're going to do tonight. We get our next step in front of us. We're ready. And then we stop. Why do we stop? What stops us? Who stops us? Right? I want you to think about that. I've now helped thousands of sales professionals and entrepreneurs double and triple their sales in a fairly short amount of time. And when I look back, and we'll talk about some of those studies tonight, some of those case studies, some of those stories, when I look back at them and their successes, they sat in a chair just like you. They came to an event just like you. They made a decision just like you're going to do tonight. And the difference is when they left, they didn't stop. So that's the opportunity for you tonight. Does that sound good? Yeah, because here's the thing. And some of you I know really well, we've taken quantum leaps together. And what I also know is that when you set that goal and you want it, you wouldn't be in this room tonight, you wouldn't be here tonight with AGC and Travis' amazing network if you didn't want something bigger for yourself. You wouldn't have even shown up. Only 3% of the population shows up at events like this. You wouldn't have even shown up. You're here because you know there's something more for you. You know there's a calling. And you're going to set the goal. And I guarantee you, the first step that you're going to take is going to be way outside of your comfort zone. And you're going to say to yourself, well, why don't I start with this step? But I'm going to challenge you to start with the bigger step. That idea that pops into your head when you're driving down the 35W, and you're thinking, you know what I really want? You see yourself on Instagram, you see yourself on YouTube, you see yourself on that video, you see yourself on the Today Show, you see yourself, whatever it is, you see yourself. That's where I want you to go. Are you with me? Yeah, all right, good. Then I'm in the right place. Today we're going to talk about the 3 sales blocks that keep you stuck in scarcity. And some of these things you're going to say, I've heard this before, Ursula. I've been to sales training, I've been to business training, I've been through, all these events. I want you to listen with fresh ears. So when you hear yourself say, I've heard that before, I want you to ask yourself, yeah, but am I living it? And am I getting the results that I want? And this is from someone who lives this every single day. I'm constantly asking myself that question. Yeah, I thought I knew that, but how do I up-level my game? How do I get where I want to go? So I'm going to challenge you, even if you've heard it before, listen with a fresh mind. Are you in? Yep. Yeah, all right, let's do it. So I want to tell you a little bit about my story. A lot of people ask me, Ursula, how did you get into this world of sales? Not a lot of women in this space, just doing sales training. My story, in a nutshell, I'm a Minnesotan. I'm from a little town called La Center, down by Mankato. Any high school friends in the room tonight? No? Grew up on a farm, wanted to stay there forever. My parents said, go to college and get a good job. How many of you were told that? Go to college, get a good job, everything else will work out. And they meant well. The family farm was going under. That was back in the 80s. The rest of the story, though, is my sister came along later. So these are my brothers. My 2 older brothers lived on the farm. My sister came along years later. She's still running the family farm. But in the 80s, all the farms were going away. So my parents said, you have to go to college and get a good job. So I got a degree in psychology and communication, an amazing liberal arts degree at St. Olaf, ya. Anybody? Of course, Erica. And what could I do with that degree when I graduated? Some people say nothing. Some people say sell. Some people say who knows, right? The long and short of it is that I'm an accidental salesperson. I ended up in outside sales with a technical training company in Colorado. And in 5 years, I went from being an outside sales professional to president of a $20 million company. And I share that with you not to say, look at what I did. I share it with you because if that kid can learn how to sell, anybody can. And we've helped a lot of people make that leap. And so it's your time, or you wouldn't be here. So who's ready for a breakthrough? Yay. Yeah, good, because it's time. Like tonight is time, so we're gonna get through the first one. The first sales block that might be keeping you stuck in scarcity is that you have an unworthy sales goal. And what I mean by that is it's unworthy of you. What is your double this year? What is your triple? What is even beyond that, right? Because you have those goals, you have those ideas. And let me tell you, I was on the West Coast for quite a while. Moving back to Minnesota, there are different conversations about money here. It's not a bad thing, it's just different, right? And so we're a humble people back here in Minnesota. We don't talk a lot about, growing these multi-million-dollar companies. But I think it's time to change the conversation. Because entrepreneurs, we make things happen. When entrepreneurs do well, the world does well. Am I right? Right? Yes. So it's time. I want you to do well also. So the sales formula. We probably don't have time right now for you to figure it out, but I want you to think about your number. What's your stretch goal this year, and what's it going to take to get there? Okay? And the easiest way to think about it, this is a simple, if a lot of people say, Ursula, I want to hit $10,000 a month. That's kind of the first place they start. If your average sale is $1,000, how many sales do you need per month to hit 10,000? 10 sales, right? And if you have 10 sales and your closing ratio is 50%, how many qualified appointments do you need? 20. Simple math. I like simple math this time of day. If you want a seven-figure business, here we go. $1.2 million a year. Your average sale is 100,000. How many sales do you need a month to get there? 10. Same math. How many qualified appointments do you need? 20. Right. Just because this is easy math, it doesn't mean it's simple. And I find when I sit down with entrepreneurs especially, they haven't dug into the number. So I want to encourage you. That's one of your takeaways tonight. I want you to figure out your number. What's your number this year? One of our clients came to me one day and she said, Ursula, I want a seven-figure business. I hear that a lot. I said, where are you right now? She said, I'm around $1,000 a month. And she has shared this publicly. She actually wrote a book about it. Her name is Abby, and she sells shoe insoles. And Abby came to me, she's like, I want to grow a seven-figure business. And I said, shoe insoles. And I said, all right, let's talk about this. So the first time we sat down together, I helped her with her projection, this little formula here. We figured out exactly what it was going to take to get there. A year and a half later, she had a multi-million-dollar company. Now it's more multi-millions. But it started, that's why I want to drive this point home, because it starts with getting the numbers on paper. And some of you are doing this right now. Some of you I'm working with, and I know you're already working out the numbers. So that's what I want you to think about. When you leave here, what's my double this year? What is that number? How many conversations is it going to take? And then I want you to ask yourself this question. What is the fastest and easiest way to get there? And come up with 50 ideas. There's studies that have been done that when you get to 50, you will find gold in that list. So that's my next challenge for you. Sales block number 2. You have hidden limiting beliefs. They're kind of stuck in that subconscious somewhere. And some of you are like, yes, I know that. I'm not sure what they are. They're in there somewhere. I will tell you, this is the number one limiting belief that we run into with our clients. I don't want to be perceived as being pushy. Anyone? Because the question I get a lot is, how many times should I follow up, Ursula? How many times should I talk to someone? How many times should I call them? You know what my answer is? Until you get a true yes, they're a great client. A no, it's not a fit, and that's okay, or a next step on the calendar. A yes, a no, or a next step on the calendar. Because the truth is, you aren't being pushy. In fact, I don't believe you're actually serving a prospect until you have a sales conversation and you get a yes, a no, or a next step. Again, simple. I got an email today from a new client. She's coming to our sales camp in a couple weeks, so she hasn't been yet. But she's like, Ursula, I was doing the pre-training, and she says, I have a question. I have presented a proposal to a client, and now they've ghosted me. Been there? And I replied back to her, and I said, you just missed a step. This is a simple fix. I said, don't keep chasing them through email. Reset the appointment. Get another appointment on the calendar. And next time, don't send the proposal ahead of time. What I want you to do is to set the appointment and go over the proposal with them. Even if it's by Zoom or over the phone or in person, you want to go through it with them. Because once you send that proposal, it's like a tumbleweed rolling through the desert and it's gone. Simple, right? All of you can do that. Because you're not being pushy. You're being, and I want you to remember this, let's start with an I am statement. I am a professionally persistent problem solver. We sent nameplates that say that out to our clients this year because I wanted it to be in their psyche. I am a professionally persistent problem solver, because who are you afraid to call when you actually believe that? Think about it. When you think you're being pushy, that's all about you. That's all about you being in the way. It's all about you thinking that they're going to think something bad about you. Who cares? Who cares? You guys are all good people. You're in business to make a difference. They're adults. They can say no if it's not a fit for them. But until you've given them the opportunity to say yes, you haven't served them. One of our clients, Martha Womack, one of my California clients, has also shared this on her podcast, Double Your Sales Now. She had a limiting belief about salespeople, didn't like them. In fact, she would say she hated salespeople. We shifted her belief just to be able to say, I'm a salesperson, just to be able to say that one sentence. She went from $500,000 a year to $1 million in a very short amount of time. She doubled. And she'd been hitting $500,000 for 20 years by shifting one belief. All right, last one, sales block number 3, you lack follow-up. This goes back to the whole, I don't want to be perceived as being pushy. But when you're a professionally persistent problem solver, it's not going to matter anymore, because you're there to serve them. And until you've actually had the sales conversation, you haven't served them. Now let's look at the stats, because I like the numbers. When do people buy? 2% of sales close on the first call. That's like nobody, right? 10% on the 4th call. 80% of sales close on or after the 5th call. It's a lot of conversations. It's a lot of talks. That's a lot of chats. Here's the truth, though. Half of us give up after the first call. We make the call, they don't answer, or we have a quick conversation, they're not a yes, so we make up this story that they're not our ideal client or they don't want what we have. When the truth is, they probably could be. Maybe they're even part of your top 20%, and we don't even know that yet. Because if you reverse it, let's reverse it for a moment. Let's imagine you're remodeling your home. You've gotten a wonderful proposal from a contractor, right? And you're interested in working with them. And what if they never called you again? Would you work with them? No. Your prospects want you to call them. And the day that they call you and say, hey, Julie, I'm ready, here's my credit card, go buy a lottery ticket. 10% of us do 5 or more calls. You can become part of the top 10% just by making 5 or more calls. What if it's that easy? What if it could be just about following up more? Some of you are thinking, oh, I don't want to be harassing. You're not. You're not. They're waiting for you to call them because they want to know that you actually want their business. One of our clients, Barbara Mitchell with US Bank, that's the one thing she did. She just started to follow up more. Her sales went way up. She was at 118% of quota just by following up more than 4 or 5 times. It was like we gave her a permission slip to follow up. So here's your permission slip for all of you. How many of you are committed now to following up 5 or more times? Good. All right. Now I want to close with this. It's Thanksgiving this year, and I got this message in my Facebook account. A client from 10 years ago, his name's Ron, just interviewed him on the podcast so you can hear the whole conversation on Double Your Sales Now. And Ron reached out to say thank you. He said, thank you. He said, Ursula, I don't know if you remember me, but I was digging through some stuff and I found my old sales camp binder. He said, I changed one limiting belief about money 10 years ago. And after I changed that belief, a $15,000 sale showed up and launched my company. One belief about money. What's blocking you? Thank you for having me here tonight. I wish you your most epic year yet. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Travis. Thank you, guys. Thank you.